did you know that they're turning the Beatles' London headquarters into a museum?
Yes. Paul just announced that. It's going to be great. I'm packing my bags right now.
I mean, it is about time, honestly. If you walk down Savile Row in London today, number 3 is just this very ordinary white Georgian building.
Yeah, with an Abercrombie & Fitch on the ground floor.
Exactly. Just a retail store and a tiny blue plaque on the wall you would never know was the center of the music world back in 1968.
Right. To the casual observer walking past, that building is entirely perplexing. For over 50 years, the actual physical space where they had their final public performance has basically just been locked away.
But with this new 2027 exhibition, we finally have the perfect excuse to look at what actually happened inside those walls. Because the history there is, it's pretty chaotic.
Oh, absolutely. Savile Row isn't just where they played a few songs. It is the physical intersection of their highest utopian ideals and, well, their incredibly messy dissolution.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because in 1968, they moved their new company, Apple Corps, into this building.
Right.
And suddenly you have 4 global icons trying to run what was essentially a wildly funded, modern tech startup.
Yes, but completely devoid of any adult supervision.
Zero corporate logic.
None at all. I mean, Apple was born out of this deep frustration with the traditional music industry. They wanted an idealistic, artist-controlled environment.
Which sounds great on paper, you know? Like total creative freedom.
Right, but you can't run a global empire on pure idealism. They instituted this open-door policy where literally anyone could walk in off the street with a wild idea.
And secure funding. They were throwing money at bizarre investments.
Like Magic Alex, this electronics guru who promised them a force field to protect Ringo Starr's drum kit.
Wait, a literal force field?
Yes. Or wallpaper that functioned as stereo speakers. None of it ever materialized, of course, but the company just kept writing the checks.
So the business side is absolutely hemorrhaging money. The hallways are full of hangers-on. The pressure of being global icons is just mounting.
Exactly. The idealistic chaos mutated into paralyzing chaos.
Which brings us to January 1969. Because when the business upstairs is failing, you retreat to what you actually know how to do.
So they went down into the basement.
Right. They converted the basement of 3 Savile Row into a recording studio, though calling it a functional studio is being very generous.
Incredibly generous. It was basically a sensory nightmare. Cramped, damp, covered in this glaring green carpet.
Just massive cables crisscrossing everywhere, a total trip hazard.
But what's fascinating here is how the narrative around those basement sessions has totally shifted recently.
Yeah, for decades, the accepted story was that these sessions, the ones that became the Let It Be album, were just utterly miserable.
Right. Everyone always framed it as the sound of a divorce. We assumed the end of the band was inevitable, so those sessions must have been entirely toxic.
But then Peter Jackson's Get Back documentary totally dismantled that entrenched myth.
He proved a half-century of history wrong. Yes, there was undeniable friction and arguments. But it also revealed genuine, profound joy.
You see Paul McCartney and John Lennon joking around, playing old rockabilly covers from their teenage years in Liverpool.
And wide smiles when a complex vocal harmony suddenly locks in. The documentary forced us to realize that, a band can be on the verge of breaking up while still experiencing peak creative synchronicity.
Totally. And the 2027 experience is going to feature a fully recreated version of this exact basement studio.
Which is brilliant. Because standing in that physical space provides a level of immersion you just can't get from a screen. You'll feel the claustrophobia and the magic all at once.
But a tiny damp basement can only hold so much energy. They had to vent it somewhere.
So they went all the way up.
Here's where it gets really interesting. January 30th, 1969, they carry their heavy amplifiers and instruments up to the roof of 3 Savile Row.
No press announcements, no tickets.
Just these rough wooden planks laid out over the roof tiles so they had a flat surface to stand on, and it is freezing.
Looking at the photos, it resembles a hazardous construction site more than a stage.
Right. John Lennon is wearing a huge fur coat he borrowed. Ringo Starr put on his wife's red raincoat just to keep the wind out. George Harrison is all bundled up in a heavy jacket.
And they just step onto those planks and start playing. Get back, don't let me down, dig a pony.
Just blasting their music out over the rooftops of central London for exactly 42 minutes.
Imagine being an office worker, eating your lunch, and suddenly the sky opens up and the biggest band in the world is playing live for the first time in 3 years.
Oh, it would be incredible. But the police response to this is just so funny to me because we romanticize rock rebellion as this aggressive clash with authority.
But this was overwhelmingly British and deeply confused.
Yes. The local station gets noise complaints from neighboring banks and tailoring shops, but when the cops arrive, they have no idea what to do.
They're just standing around the lobby negotiating with the receptionist. They didn't know how to handle 4 multimillionaire musicians causing a public nuisance on private property.
It's hilarious. And you know, memory is such a faulty historian. I noticed this quirky contradiction while prepping today.
Oh, what's that?
One historical account vividly describes it as a cold Thursday morning, but then a few paragraphs later, it refers to it as just a Tuesday afternoon.
That perfectly highlights how legendary events get their details scrambled. Was it Thursday morning? Was it Tuesday afternoon? The literal calendar blurs because the event has become rock mythology.
Exactly. As they were playing up there in the cold wind, nobody knew this was the end. Not the band, not the crew.
But eventually, the police made it to the roof, the amps were switched off, and John Lennon delivers the greatest sign-off in music history.
He steps up to the mic and says, "I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves, and I hope we pass the audition."
A masterpiece of understatement.
Right. So moving back to 2027, turning a heritage building into a 7-floor fan experience is huge. Fans will get access to the roof itself, unseen photos, raw audio recordings.
Rotating exhibitions from the archives, yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, London has always had this glaring geographical gap in their public legacy.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool has built an entire infrastructure around their origins. The childhood homes, the massive museums.
And Abbey Road has the working studio and the famous crosswalk.
But central London has never had a dedicated space. And this is the city where masterpiece albums like Sgt. Pepper and the White Album were conceived and debated.
So 3 Savile Row fills that void. And not with some sterile new building. It is the actual rooms where the utopian business collapsed and the actual basement where they found joy again.
Which raises a vital philosophical question for you to ponder.
So what does this all mean?
Well, the rooftop concert is legendary precisely because it was spontaneous and fleeting. It vanished into the London air after 42 minutes.
Right.
So what happens to the soul of a historical event when we turn a totally spontaneous moment into a permanent ticketed exhibition? Does preserving the memory in a museum change the fundamental nature of the memory itself?
Does making it permanent strip away the magic of it being fleeting? That is a brilliant tension to chew on.
Yeah, does the bottle change the lightning?
Keep questioning the history around you, and who knows, maybe we'll see you standing on that roof in 2027, trying to catch an echo of a cold Thursday morning or a Tuesday afternoon. Well, thanks for joining us today. Whenever you feel like knowing more about the Beatles, visit us at BeatlesRewind.com. It's the Beatles, all day, every day, 8 days a week. Cass will do it again tomorrow. Right.
Absolutely, I wouldn't miss it for the world. Goodbye, everyone.
Until next time, when you listen.
Your mind conducts its own symphony.